how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Creepshow 2024 Holiday Special. I believe this is the second one. I believe the 23 one was the first one of these they did, and periodically Creepshow will make a special issue. And I would imagine that these would eventually get recollected somewhere, but as it stands now, I don't think they are. I think it's just 2 volumes of each of the main series, but hopefully when we get enough, we'll get these collected in a trade paperback sometime. But because it's Christmas, and in case they don't, let's talk about this issue. Overall, this issue's okay, and that's kind of why I haven't been covering the main Creepshow book lately. The Creepshow book is kind of one of those aggressively okay things. Every now and then, you'll get a good story out of it, but for the most part, the Creepshow stories are either aggressively generic anthology horror with the same tropes you've seen over and over, or just kind of weird, okay, that happened type of stories. And this issue, we get 2 of those. The first story, which I really don't know why they put it first, this guy, he's going to a New Year's Day party, and it's back in 1899, and they're doing this ritual for this mummy. It's got some good, creepy, surreal art and an okay base idea, but it definitely falls into the okay, that happened type of camp. And also the big thing with this one is it really isn't a New Year's story. The idea that this story took place around New Year's felt tacked on, and it felt like, hey, can we throw something into this book to mash it into the holiday special? Ultimately, you don't really feel or care for the characters, and it's just, hey, this weird thing happened. And yeah, it's not bad. It was fine. The better story is this late night TV host who's bringing out his old puppet from his stand-up days, but of course it's a creepy puppet and something goes wrong. It's cool to bring up the puppet trope. They do something a little bit different towards the end, which I thought was a neat spin on it, but it wound up relying way too much on those little narration boxes to explain what was happening. But it's your very standard jerk gets his comeuppance story. And overall, yeah, this issue was fine. And the thing is, if you like and read the Creepshow book, I can't say it's terrible, but at the end of the day, Creepshow has been aggressively okay, and I really wish it was better, but whatever. If you guys want to see a little bit more, I'm going to switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys a little bit of the story and the art, but no major spoilers. But if you guys want to dive in a little deeper, let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at the Creepshow 2024 Holiday Special. Right off the bat, let's bring this closer to the camera, and we get to see the Creepshow ghoul with a Santa hat and a lantern, joined by some carolers. And this is an okay cover, but it's definitely one that I wish had a little bit more of a pop. We're supposed to be scared of their staring at us, and I think this artist is trying to replicate how Junji Ito draws eyes like this, but it's just not quite working. And also some of the more subtle elements are a little bit too subtle, like the mummy outfit or the Jason mask. And these 2 back here have something going on, but again, I wish it had a little more of a pop. If we pull over to the classic red band, $3.99, Holiday Special 2024, Issue 1. Yeah, I wish they would just say one shot instead of issue 1, but everybody does it like that. There's the barcode, and if we take a look on the back, we get the Creepshow ghoul, and what does it say this time? He sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. How appropriate for Christmas, right? Cracking it open to the inside, we get to see the credit line. The first story, Auld Lang Syne, is written by Tini and Blake Howard, with Stevan Subic as the artist. Late Night Terry Rino was written by Rob Williams, with art by Pye Parr. And we get a few preview images there, and the rest of the credits. Now after that, we get into the stories proper, and really quickly, I want to say, I'm going to show you guys a little of the story, a little of the art. I'll try to be avoiding major spoilers, though I don't want to ruin the stories, but I do want to dig in and analyze them a little bit. So without further ado, let's dive in. We open up with Auld Lang Syne, of course introduced by the Creepshow ghoul, looking quite cool in this art style, and we get to see that it is New Year's Eve, London, 1899, and we get this guy saying that he feels like he was born in the wrong time and wishes he was born in Egypt in the era of pharaohs and gods. However, he's gotten an invitation to a New Year's Eve party, and it just so happens that he has a friend that recently funded his own exhibition to Egypt and has brought back a ton of artifacts, some of which he'll share with his friends. However, the main attraction is this mummy this guy has, and he has a special plan for a ritual with it. You see these drinks that he's given out to his friends? Turns out they've contained pieces of the mummy, and he's trying to get it to come back. So yeah, a lot of them are really upset because it turns out they've consumed human flesh. And sadly, if you look up the history of this time, there are a lot of mummies that got destroyed for various crazy reasons, including eating them. Yeah. Well, a lot of his guests will storm off. This guy's left with the mummy, and of course he starts to feel a particular connection to it. Is it talking to him? Is it reaching out to him? What's going to happen from there? Yeah, this artwork, you can see it gets pretty creepy and surreal. I think it was kind of fun. Again, though, the story is just kind of like a, okay, well, that happened deal. And I do wish it was more involved. But again, this is the Creepshow half-issue thing, and that is a huge limiting factor. Overall, I mean, at least it's not cliche, but I wish it had something more going on for it. After that, we move into the next story. The Creepshow ghoul is inviting us to peek behind the curtain, and this story is entitled Late Night Terry Rino, and we get to see this late night host doing his sign-off, but it turns out this is just rehearsals. The real show hasn't started yet. And of course, as soon as the cameras are off, it turns out this guy is really mean and abusive to his staff. And when the producer of this show says that the ending isn't big enough and he feels old-fashioned, well, he's going to run into his writer's room and demand a last-minute rewrite, again, being very mean to his staff members there, and that's when we get this flashback. It turns out before he hosted the show, he had a ventriloquist routine with this dummy named Saucy, and of course Saucy told all sorts of inappropriate jokes, and he had this stick, this sausage that he would beat people with. Well, it turns out the producer says, hey, we really have to work to save the show. What if the big finale and the big draw of tonight's episode was you brought back the dummy? And he says, okay, I'll do it, but for one last time only, and I'm going to beat the dummy at the end. I'm going to smash his head and never use him again. I mean, of course, we know dummy stories. This is not going to go the way he thinks. And again, it does have a fun little twist at the end, but it kind of has to explain what happens in those little text boxes, you know? Again, it's a good enough idea. It is one that is, you know, pretty standard anthology horror, but it had some moments. You know, it's the classic jerk gets his comeuppance, and we, of course, through the course of the story, find out how big of a jerk he is. But I just wish it had something better, a more memorable clincher. Whatever. As I said, the Creepshow comic, and this one is no exception, is pretty aggressively okay. It's not terrible. It's pretty standard anthology horror. But I mean, when you're talking about Creepshow, it's just something that I constantly wish was a little better. Anyway, though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Creepshow playlist where you can see me talk about last year's holiday special, as well as some other single issues and some episodes of the show. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist here. Have a good day now.